And that's why Vermont progressive Bernie Sanders has partnered with constitutional conservative Mike Lee of Utah to invoke the War Powers Resolution to remove U.S. forces from this illegal war.
I got hit. Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Maine to New York City and on the web at thestruggle.org. Our YouTube channel, Struggle Video Media. In an important development, Senator Bernie Sanders, who the polls say is the most popular politician in the country, has come out strongly against the U.S. war in Yemen. And he and Senators Lee and Murphy of Connecticut are sponsoring a resolution that, if enacted, would end all U.S. support for the Saudi war on Yemen. It's Senate Joint Bill 54, and the important sentences are these. It lists its purpose to direct the removal of the United States armed forces from hostilities in the Republic of Yemen that have not been authorized by Congress. And it concludes, Congress hereby directs the President to remove the United States armed forces from hostilities in or affecting the Republic of Yemen. SJR 54 deserves our support. Now, there was some interesting immediate support from a very mainstream magazine, U.S. News and World Report, and from Mark Ruffalo, the actor and activist who helped make this video.
For 3 years, the United States and Saudi Arabia have been waging a secretive war, triggering the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. Saudi Arabia is deliberately using starvation as a weapon of war in Yemen, putting 8 million people a step away from famine. Not only does our government provide the Saudis with fighter planes, missiles, and training for this conflict, the U.S. actively assists with target selection for Saudi airstrikes and delivers fuel to Saudi jets in midair as they conduct bombings. This is a U.S. war in Yemen. Yet it's never had any legal justification. It's never been authorized by Congress. It has nothing to do with fighting Al-Qaeda or ISIS. In fact, it's making them stronger. And that's why Vermont progressive Bernie Sanders has partnered with constitutional conservative Mike Lee of Utah to invoke the War Powers Resolution to remove U.S. forces from this illegal war. That law guarantees a vote on the Senate floor within days. I believe that when the American people are presented with the facts, we will act to stop our tax dollars from being used to bomb and starve innocent Yemenis simply to advance the Saudi dictatorship's military ambitions. Nowhere else on earth today is there a catastrophe so profound, harming so many lives, that is so easy to resolve. Please call 1-833-STOP-WAR to urge your senator to vote for the Sanders-Lee resolution to end the unauthorized U.S. war in Yemen. We can stop the bombing and let food and medicine into Yemen so that millions may live.
For more on Yemen, Rabyaah Althaibani, a Yemeni American who spoke in a forum in Stony Point Culturals at the Stony Point Center. 656. For more about Yemen, Rabyaah Althaibani, a Yemeni American who was part of a panel on Yemen at the Stony Point Center in New York State. She spoke just after Kathy Kelly, whose remarks we presented last week.
Thank you. That was, wow, You just brought me back, first of all, to the Arab Spring. And I kind of got emotional. Just thinking about, seriously, what a amazing time that was for all of us, because we organized against Ali Abdullah Saleh for years, against the regime, and my husband was on the ground in Yemen and part of the entire, movement over there. And so just you talking about all those events that happened just brought back all these memories. But yeah, I do want to focus on how this war has impacted me directly, personally, but also Yemeni Americans, and how Trump's ban, or the Muslim ban, has also, it was already so very difficult, with the war, and then to have people, these really horrible policies coming out at a time when Yemenis are like fleeing violence, is just, it's been very, very difficult. So in 2011, we organized. There was so much hope out there. We were like very united here in the U.S. as Yemeni Americans living outside of Yemen. The best we could do is just try to support people on the ground by organizing, educating others, and it was really we were very much united. And same was happening in Yemen, the youth, the young people, like the Houthis were also in Change Square. I was just telling Abdi, there was everybody from all walks of life just united around this common cause, and then it all just fell apart after the national dialogue kind of collapsed, and then, like you explained so brilliantly, the war and the Houthis come in and take over in 2014, and then in March of 2015, the Saudis start their bombing campaign, and this is actually in 2014 where the majority of people just started to escape or get their families. And mind you, I think more than 90% of Yemenis in the United States are here. They're American citizens. They've been here since the 60s, 70s. So these are mostly children and wives and women that are escaping the war to join American citizen, their spouses and the fathers. And so they had petitions. Some of them had petitions, but there was no embassy anymore in Sana'a. So the only way, by the way, at this time, the Saudi bombing and the blockade, the only way to get out of Sana'a was to travel through, very dangerous, by the way, with the bombing, and then to go to the south in Aden, which is about 8 hours or 10 driving, but with all the violence that was happening and all the security, and it takes at least 2 days now to get from Sana'a to Aden. And so that's the first part. And then the second part is to get from Aden to Djibouti by boat. And so thousands of people escaped that way. A lot of them went to Djibouti, where the American embassy was, trying to process as many, petitions, and it was going okay at first. And then Trump came, he came into power. Trump is here, and a lot of the rhetoric that we heard during the campaign, we all thought it was just talk. I would have never. I'm being honest. I was like, well, there's no way he's gonna what's a Muslim ban anyways? This is just not American. What? No, it can't happen. And yeah, the first week, his number one item on his agenda was the Muslim ban, and you all remember how horrific that weekend was. And I was at JFK, and it was just like, oh my God. I remember me and Sama were trying to translate, because there was a leaked version of the ban, and I'm like, there's no way this is what he's gonna sign. And yes, he signed it on Friday at 4:59, knowing full well that the airports are going to be full of travelers, and it's just horrific. And we were trying to, inform people. People were scared. They had family members that were either traveling, had visas, or it was just really very, very difficult. My husband, who had already petitioned for him. I did his interview at, November of 2016. Everything seemed to be going well. I was hoping that at least by March or April, he was going to be here with me of last year. But no, there goes the first ban, and then everything. I don't know not one single Yemeni family that's not impacted by the war in Yemen and the ban. So they're experiencing violence in Yemen that we are helping, helping this war, like Susan explained, supporting the Saudis in their bombing, refueling planes. It's we're actively involved in this war, the United States. And now we have 3 different bans or versions of these bans, and we were just excited today to hear that the Fourth Circuit had ruled against the 3rd Muslim ban and that it's unconstitutional. And now we're going to go to the Supreme Court. So you have families, you have Yemenis that have escaped the war all over the world, like literally throughout the Middle East. They're in Egypt, they're in Jordan, they're in Djibouti, they're in Malaysia. And these are all, they've been out, it's almost 2.5 years since, almost 3 years now. And the kind of the financial toll this has taken on their family members here that are trying to bring them here, because it's not easy or cheap to support an entire family. Let's say in Djibouti, it's very expensive. And to be, separated from their family members under such a horrible times, especially with what's happening in Yemen. It's very difficult. I get to go and visit my husband, but I married him in January 2016, and I've only actually been able to see him 3 times in 3 years. And I'm an American citizen, but obviously our president doesn't believe I have the same rights that he does. And so my constitutional rights are not on the same page or the same, as a woman of color, brown folks. And this is the whitening of America. We had 3 different bans, and all the courts have struck all of them. And yet, at this point, there's literally no immigration from these countries whatsoever. I think there's I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that are right now aren't able to come into the U.S. And these are, again, if I'm talking about Yemeni Americans, these are Abde, for example, my friend, his family, he's an American, and his kids, his wife, But it's just really very emotional, sorry.
It's okay. Sorry, Mommy.
I think I'm done.
Thank you, Rabyaah, for sharing that and just giving us one story.
Now to Syria and a protest held near the Russian mission to the United Nations.
Russia, Russia, you can't hide!
Russia, Russia, you can hide!
We charge you with genocide!
We charge you with
Free, free Syria! Free, free Syria!
Free, free Syria!
Russian out of Syria now!
Russia out of Syria now!
Russian out of Syria now!
Russia out of Syria now!
Tarek, you have a sign with some pretty badly injured kids. One appears to be dead. Could you explain what's on your sign?
Yeah, this is just an example about some picture what's going on in Syria in general and what's going on in Ghouta at this time. This is the Ghouta, they have about 400,000 civilians, they live in Ghouta, and has been blocked about 5 years. No food, no medication, no any humanity thing. Was blocked from the Assad regime and his ally from the Iranian regime also, and his militia. And recently, since 2015 also, the Russian Air Force come in and they help Assad and they become in his side.
Could I ask you what part of Syria you're from?
I am from I'm an American citizen. I am from Idlib.
From Italy.
Idlib, like the north, like near to the border in Turkey.
And that's being bombed now very
Yeah, this is like last 2 weeks ago, the regime, Assad regime and Russian regime bombing my hometown, the name of Ariha, and they bombing the fish market, where is the people was selling the fish and try to make a living. There is no Al-Qaeda, no ISIS, no terrorists, only civilian people like you and me, and they make a living to sell a fish, and they destroy 2 buildings, and they killing 16 innocent people, and they injure 52 people. And this is just a sign of any kind of city in Syria. They were attacking by Russian Air Force and Assad regime, also militia.
Drop food, not bomb! Drop food, not bomb! Free, free Syria! Free, free Syria!
So why did you come down today for this protest?
I came today because I feel very angry and upset about what's happening to the people in Syria, especially the children. I met Pete over here at another vigil in October when things were pretty bad, but they've escalated and become much worse. I'm very involved with a cat shelter outside of Aleppo. This is something that Americans and Europeans and anyone can participate in online. And the gentleman who runs it was in Aleppo, and when Aleppo fell, he managed to get out. He went to Turkey, but he came back to serve the people in the area outside Aleppo and to serve the animals, and I was so incredibly impressed by that. This idea of building a life while things are falling down around you really inspired me.
UN, shame, shame!
UN, shame, shame!
The Assad regime pretty much is having the war carried out by the military of Russia, Iran, Hezbollah. If they stood by themselves, they would have been gone by now. So Russia is doing the most aggressive actions at the moment, especially the past few days in Ghouta, has been bombing civilian targets.
Прекрати бомбить Сирию! Прекрати бомбить Сирию! Прекрати бомбить Сирию! Прекрати бомбить Сирию! Russia out of Syria now! Russia out of Syria now! Russia out of Syria now! Russia and ISIS are the same! 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 Free, free Syria! Free, free Syria! Free, Syria now! Russia out of Syria!
Russia and Assad are defying the UN's demand for a ceasefire in Syria. It's incumbent upon us to think up measures that would pressure these tyrants. One idea was expressed in one of the picket signs you just saw, denying the Russian airliner Aeroflot the right to land in the U.S. And now to a protest in the West Bank, where, incidentally, our camera operator, Abraham Weitzfeld, was injured by an Israeli tear gas canister. The protests concerned the arrest at the end of last year of a social worker named Munther Amina. According to a statement by the International Federation of Social Workers, Amina was arrested on the 27th of December while peacefully protesting to defend the rights of children who had been detained by Israeli authorities.
Okay, we've arrived at the Ofer prison. Here are all the demonstrators from all regions of Palestine who have come together to demonstrate today in solidarity with Palestinian prisoners. Was ist deine Nummer? Are you proud of what you're doing?
اصحى شو اللي كاهرك يا زلمه؟ شو اللي كاهرك؟
You are proud? You are proud of what you're doing?
ومن اوفر طلع القرار والاسير ما بينهار.
Here comes gas. He's the one who threw it. This one here. He just threw the gas canister. Can't take a little noise, huh? There's the gas. Oh, that man's caught in the middle of it. Fortunately, the wind is blowing the opposite direction. Here.
زحوها من وجهنا. انا بدي احكي للجبل.
Give you a close-up of what it looks like. Oh, here the soldiers are coming again. Now they're opening the gate and coming on us. Tearing down the Palestinian flags. There's another flash gas. I got hit. I got hit in the center of my chest. And now they're ordering the journalists away. Anyway, he's going to have to throw another one. There it is. He's throwing it against the journalists. Kayavik! There. Documented. They're attacking the journalists. No demonstrators here right now. Everybody's retreated. There. He's taking a flag and throwing it down on the ground. There's more flags still flying. This demonstrator is defying them, so is he. Move them on. What is this? Is the piece that's been pushed out by the grenade. It's probably what hit me in the chest. They want to make the way for the supply trucks to come in here. Oh, here's another one. Oh. camera fell down, damaged. There's no, it shoots out this thing on the top. That's what hit me before. I'm gonna bring the truck in to supply the prison. Yeah, BP22. Here. I'll show you the where it exploded. Here's the writing. New type, shoots off the top.
On our YouTube channel, a video of the lawyer of Vic Lancia, an environmentalist arrested last week for an action in April of 2017 in front of a Wells Fargo bank.
All right, so Vic is here with me. We're in front of the Middletown Courthouse on Court Street. He has been brought up on charges, I believe the exact charges are breach of peace in the second degree, obstruction of free passage, criminal trespass in the second degree, and interfering with an officer. And these amount to, in totality, a pretty serious set of charges. Each individual charge isn't that bad, but taken together, that could spell up to more than a year in jail. So we just went into the courthouse and I spoke with the state. The state gave us the file, and they also said that they're going to make contact with Wells Fargo, who I believe is the driving force behind this prosecution, and I think everybody agrees that that's probably the case. So
Lancia is hoping that on his next court appearance, March 26th, a lot of friends and supporters will come out in attendance. Next week, coverage of the recent rally for Puerto Rico in Hartford, Connecticut. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.